man.
I think so. I'm pretty sure
It
every
was weird.
season's been a failure.
You said that, and then I was about to say Rebel Moon is a joke, but then I was like, oh, that joke doesn't even make sense.
That's right. That's Netflix. But I mean, yeah, it like the Batman and Penguin are like the two things that they've made in the last, basically since Joker, that were successful and well regarded. And so, you know,
Yeah,
if
Superman
comes out and it's no good, it is going to be particularly awkward because it's like, oh, but you got like this Batman stuff going on here that's pretty good. So like, what's the
people are generally pretty positive about the Batman.
Yeah.
I liked it, so
Mm-hmm.
would be keen to see more of that. I certainly
in other
will be
news,
checking out the Penguin.
The live event of the century, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. That's
Oh, did anyone catch that? It was way too late for me. I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
I watched the end when it was done streaming and lagging like crazy.
Yeah, I heard that it wasn't running very well on Netflix, which is interesting because WWE is going to be live on Netflix starting January, and if they can't manage that, I wonder if they're going to have problems with doing live things like every week, multiple times.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the match that a lot of people were hoping to see.
Why? What was up with it?
It was just a boring outcome.
Broadly, it was they both throwing punches and sometimes sort of hit ones that are like fine, and then they both defensive, and that's what it was for 8 rounds, and then it was over. Okay. Well, and a lot of people would be like, well, what were you expecting? It was like, Mike Tyson.
Something exciting?
You know what the audience is expecting, and you could read up on like people's responses. People were very much not like, that was kind of. You expect spectacle, I guess, and you know.
Yeah. Mike Tyson.
Yeah, no.
People really wanted to see Iron Mike just take that dude down, but then now there are a lot of people that are saying like it's rigged and such.
Yeah, I mean,
I have no skin in the game. I don't give a shit.
I guess it would have been seen as rigged no matter what, to some extent, right? I mean, and it probably is somewhat. Like, there's going to be some things that are like, you can't be doing X, Y, Z or something,
Yeah,
but I don't
you
know.
can't instant knock me out or something. You gotta go for my forehead and not my chin.
Yeah.
You can't bite my ear off.
That would have been fucking hilarious if Mike Tyson off his ear.
And it's not, bit the top off his body off.
Now that's a live action reboot.
But yeah, I guess that's how I would recommend TV show, and then I wouldn't recommend live action reboot of Mike Tyson.
Live action reboot of Mike Tyson. I guess they kind of teased the match between the other Logan man. It's like, okay, cool.
You keep the dollars rolling in, I guess. You know.
I mean, I guess, but I almost wonder if after the first one, people would just be like, "Oh, whatever." But maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be like, "Oh, another fight."
Who knows?
Which kind of leads us to what we're here to discuss, which is Arcane Season 2. Long awaited, long anticipated. It's clear. Season 1, if you don't already know, is kind of something we prop up and celebrate quite significantly. One of the best new things ever. We were blown away by it, adored it. I'd say that there's every aspect of it pretty much. You know, there's flaws, but like anything. I was about to list it all, and I was like, no, there's everything.
Very positive. Broadly across
how complex
the board,
it is.
very positive.
Oh yeah, for all the stuff that they've got going, for how complex it is insanely high quality. It is a very, very complicated dive that is pulled off extremely well, and it gets insanely high marks. One of the best shows.
And so, holy shit, a sequel, more.
Oh my gosh, what?
It's been a bit painful to wait for as long as we've had.
4 years.
We've talked about it on different episodes as we come by that this is coming up. Very excited. 2024 has not been fantastic. Put it that way.
It's been great.
I guess it's been better for other people, not for us though. Like we weren't as happy with certain things compared to others. I guess you'd say Deadpool, Wolverine, for example, or I suppose
everybody agrees on that.
Yeah, everyone hated Joker too.
That was. Jesus
I
Christ,
didn't.
That movie.
I loved it.
No.
Ironically.
Yeah, and then of
No,
course,
I seriously loved it. No, I didn't.
House
No,
of
I
the Dragon
didn't.
was a bit disappointing, a bit, especially the ending.
Yeah, overall good, but it definitely had tism. Oh, we had some tism.
Trying to think of what else there was broadly, but we've been
Outlaws.
Well, Star Wars Outlaws really lived up to all of our expectations, didn't it?
It definitely was the thing we expected it to be. I guess.
yeah.
A golem-like.
Well, in any case, this was something that Nona and I
Oh.
were super excited for, but we were like, all right,
Hi.
let's
Person.
watch this the moment it comes out. And
Lisa Jean is now following. Hi.
unfortunately, it was
How's
coming
it
out
going?
right around the time.
I
that
kind
Nintendo's
of
happened,
zoned
as
out,
in-
like,
So
actually.
we were just like, well,
Sorry.
probably should do the episode after, so I have time to actually like break it down, watch it more than once.
Thank you for the follow.
And so
by the
we
way.
are a week behind. Actually, as of today, the
has
episodes
been
4,
a
5,
long
and 6
day
are
for
out,
me.
but we're not going to be discussing
And it's going to
or
be even
referencing them
longer
for the
when I
most part.
finish this pistol today.
One, because don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but two, because it's kind of how we do things when we break things down chronologically. We try to do it, you know, like you're watching it as it happens, sort of stuff. We'll have a few sly implications about like, what could this be? I
Oh,
suppose maybe
fudge
we'll find out
nuggets.
that sort of stuff.
It has been.
Yeah, we'll get there, I'm sure. Yeah, and then next week, all of them will be out, and Arcane will be over as a series. They
Gosh.
said they're only doing the 2 seasons, and we'll have to see what they're up to.
I really need to fix my
Beyond
chat
that, I'm sure
overlay.
there'll be probably a
I
tease
can
or two
actually
by the
see
end
when
of the
people
season
talk.
as to the future
Oh,
of
100%.
what we can expect. In any case, I suppose that brings us to the beginning. Unless there's anything anyone wants to mention before we start deep diving, digging, doing things.
No.
Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
ready.
we're gonna be here for a while, so
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
We'll
off
be
we go.
for a while.
Let me get my trusty copyright cover.
Mwah.
Got a job today. Fella.
Yeah.
Been for a while. I suppose we can talk about the intro as it arrives, which will be soon. But the end of season 1, there was plenty of speculation as to what is going to happen as a result of Jinx's big old rocket. Is it going to kill everyone, or will it kill a select group of people? I think we just had discussed it, but there's a little clue with Mel. Her armor seems to be reflecting something, and she seems to realize something before everyone else does. There's obviously like an implication that she's got some kind of ability that, to be honest with you, she might just end up in the game as a support at some point. Wouldn't surprise me. Probably has like a bunch of other moves maybe they'll throw onto her. Who could say?
We got Bessa in the game now.
Yeah, she is. And then, you know, there's just speculation on who's going to live, who's going to die, and there's some fun ways to decide what would happen with the
you're still
story
here.
depending on the results
How are
of that.
you,
But we have our
Lisa
answer
Jean?
now. It is in stone. We begin with Jace and Mel, who are pretty unharmed. Got some debris on them and stuff. Clockwork Lady with the clockwork necklace. She's injured. And then
I think my mic is
it's going to
working.
be hard because I don't quite exactly know all of the council names, even though they do repeat them a couple times this season. Actually, the fellas who died, but the one that Mel gave like a children's toy to in season 1 seemed kind of. I forget his name. Is bald guy. He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the puzzle.
He's toast.
dead.
He's dead. We got Robot Man, the Techno Union Man.
Union man.
Techno
Yep.
Union.
He's gone as well, in pieces, gears all over the floor, unfortunate. And I suppose the most shocking death for this sequence would be Cassandra Hirraman.
Wow, most shocking, but also like definitely was gonna go.
Yeah, that seemed like
pistol
a pretty
actually
good
makes
choice
my brain
for
phase
just
out of
drama,
existence. It's so
especially
terrible.
because she doesn't occupy a huge amount in terms of like what potential you have for a character, but her death has a lot.
And it doesn't help that I'm very tired, so
But of course, a big question
I'm
will be
just
what about
kind of
Victor? And
keep
Jace
doing right
spots
now.
him. He is seemingly on death's door. We'll move on with that in a second. I just want to say that this, as a result, has been discussed, and
It's
a couple
so
people
bad.
seem to be critical
it's
of
so
the choice
bad.
of who's alive
Why?
and who's dead. As
Why
in,
did they put
wow,
this in
all
the
the main
game,
characters
bro?
made it, but all the non-main characters kind of didn't.
How am I gonna get mangler kills with this?
I
How am I
mean,
gonna get?
there
any
is a
kills with
shot
this?
a little bit later in this episode that kind of explains that it is a power Mel has.
Yeah, I know you
protecting
can
her.
weaken, but
And
frick.
she would have been
That's gonna
Chase was
be,
to her left and Clockwork Lady was to her right. The circle of protection she has protected
nope, that's a
him
bomba.
and most of her. So like that to me all lines up. Victor surviving the blast a little better than other people could be explained by him having his robot mods somewhat. And he's certainly not in a good way, right? He's near death. So then all you've got left is Salo is his name. He survived, but both of his legs have been broken beyond repair. And,
Yeah, they seem to have been pinned under something.
Oh, I messed that one up.
Drag him out of it.
yes. And as was mentioned, Mel and Jace, no injuries. Like, yeah, they were fully protected by whatever armor she has. I don't know if they're going to be explicit about her armor in future, but I would say there's enough to gather that it's definitely something that she's got, likely from being with Noxus / maybe her mum gave it to her.
Oh my
maybe
goodness,
she's
I
had
gotta wake up a bit
healing
more.
for people in some way,
'Cause
shape,
if
or
I
form, but it just
keep up the way I'm
yeah, it's
keeping up right
protecting
now,
her
I'm
and
going
so
to be.
that's
going to get
the answer. That's all
absolutely
fine with me. I don't know if
mollywopped.
anyone else has any issues with
Considering
how
how
this
bad this
begins
thing
before we
is.
move on.
I'm hoping it.
No
When Pack a
issues.
Punch
I was
does
under the
crit
impression
damage,
that
it's
Mel was
actually
actually going to
really
die
good.
because
Maybe
I
it
didn't
turns
think
to
that
lava or
armor was
something.
actually doing anything. I thought it was just reflecting the light of the missile, like as just kind of like the warning before everybody sees it hit.
That is a way to take it for sure. They could have done that.
And with Mel dead, then oh shit, and this is fucking furious now. We're getting things in order. So I was kind of
Yeah,
surprised
that
that Mel actually lived.
Yeah, she was on my
Hey.
maybe list because of obviously with Ambessa, the plot potential for Mel being killed by some as of now unknown assailant could be really interesting. There's a lot that could have done with that.
Yeah.
I was like 90% sure for some reason that she would survive because like the way the armor sort of shined, it was more than just if you went shot for shot. It was more than just reflection. It was as if her entire like clothing just was gone,
Ow, my hand
and it was
is
just her and her armor that was
just
like
went
shining
to sleep
golden,
randomly. I am
which I thought was
so
like a
cooked
very
right now.
deliberate choice
My God.
from the animators. So I was like, that's not there just for
The thing is, if there was
vibes.
no magical protection for himself, I'm not sure how easy it would be to justify how anybody's alive in that room.
Yeah.
Especially, I think that actually helps the idea that maybe other counselors could have survived because the protective shield, whatever she had, would have kind of altered the explosion's pathway a bit. As in, like, it may not have exploded in such a way that it clears out the whole room, which it probably would have if not for her shield.
Yeah, splashed outwards a bit more.
Yeah, maybe. There's you got your good old film grain and like debris just floating everywhere. It's just you're reassured immediately about how good the animation and the direction with sort of sound design and an attempt to get you into the feeling of the characters, because even the sound is all like muffled and fucked up. A big old
Alright.
this was a disaster type of feel.
I don't know when I'm gonna get to
which is
eat
exactly
after
what it should be.
this. I'm thinking
Yeah,
maybe
and might I say too
a
that I'm
chicken
glad
sandwich
that
or
they
something.
took.
'Cause I
I'm glad they
am
chose to
absolutely
just get right
hungry.
into this scene, because with a lot of shows who end on a cliffhanger like this, and then they begin their next season, they always got to start it with a fucking flashback or 3 days earlier or something like that, just to blue ball you with information that you just didn't need. It's like, fuck this flashback. What are you doing? I don't care what they did when they were kids at this very moment. Please just get into what we're here for, and they did, so.
So, yeah, upon spotting Victor, they do a kind of neat flourish with the editing where, as we're watching Jace realize that this could be that Victor's dead, we're intercutting with him sprinting to the lab with Victor's body. I presume because I don't know if there's like a medical facility within this building, but it seems like a panic move from Jace of just because he looks like he checks the notes in the lab before concluding the hex core might be able to save him, but I assume that was already on his mind potentially with everything that's happened in the season prior.
Yeah, I had the same thought. It was like, oh, you're just gonna get him bigger thing, but yeah, it seems to be like a panic thing, because it's, as you said.
Yeah, and in this
When it
moment
comes to the book, it's a sketch that has like a bunch of runes on the body with like markings, like it shows where all these runes are on Victor's body, I presume. So I think he's looking for, I guess, some medical related or magical related way to resuscitate him.
Yeah. Well, in any case, he ends up pushing the core toward Victor, and looks like it's kind of like absorbed into him. We'll get more on that, but
big choice, since he promised to destroy it in their last conversation before the council meeting.
yeah.
Although, it is implied that Jace did not understand what Victor meant when he said, "You have to destroy it." Jace probably thought that he meant to destroy the technology that he had built, not the core.
What?
I don't think so. Like, but because within
He asked him to destroy the hex core.
well, and Jace does recognize that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and Jay says he will.
No, I think, because again, like, I thought he looked to his hammer when he said, "You must destroy it." I feel like Jace thought that he was referring to the weapons that he had built, like the hammer and the gauntlets and everything like that. And so when he said "I will," he's probably referring to. He's probably thinking of the weapons, and he's probably not realizing that he's talking about the hex core. That's based on the visuals of what was happening in that very scene. I may be wrong about that.
I think it's supposed to imply
I gotta let you know wrong, because he says, like, you have to destroy it, and then Jay says, "I know," thinking about the weapons, but then I'm confident Victor says, like...
But then Victor says, "You have to," the hex core.
And then he says he will. So, this
Oh
is a big
man,
choice
it's
he's made
it's
here.
not even automatic.
well, 'cause-
That's
Actually fuse the hex core
I hate
with
semi-auto so much right now.
And this choice is important in terms of what will happen later for them in the conversation. Like,
Oh, at
it
least it's better
Jace
than it was
essentially
before.
has to recognize that yes, I didn't do what he said.
He wanted to save his
Gotcha.
life.
Okay, yeah, it's been a couple of years, so I probably.
Man, big drama like coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big choice he's just made there.
Yeah, been a couple of years, so I probably just missed the correction.
It's all
I just wanted to highlight in this opening sequence, like visually, I really, what I deeply admire about Arcane is how fantastic it is at visually translating people's inner, like, mind in the current time. So right now, during this entire sequence, there's a lot of grain added to visually to the scenes, and at first I thought it was in sort of because of the smoke to, highlight the smoke and the ruin. But even when we cut to Jace and Victor in the room, the grain is still there. So I really appreciate that a little addition that they didn't went for the stereotypical, like blurry, hazy sort of visuals that would explain Jace's like mindset right now, or his where he's where his mind is at right now, and sort of because Arcane is usually so clean, it really emphasizes
play a lot with
the
like
fact
the blur as well. The blur comes in and out. A lot of smoke and distortion. It is
visually
very frenetically edited. to help
it's
convey that
very
tone.
much emphasized how wrong things are right now.
I appreciate the when Jace is running to get Victor into the lab, and they come back to him realizing he's there on the floor and his state. Like I quite like the idea that as he's running, all he's thinking about is that moment of realization of like, good God, he's gonna die. Like that's it. But the intercutting it just keeps you in very much the tension of that mindset, but also moving things along. Getting there, things are happening. Holy shit. And, yeah, Victor near death, getting flashed fully with the hex core. Like, well, that's moving on now. Whether or not anybody is not interested in it happening, as in like Victor himself. Which is probably the way to write this, right? To like pull back when he realizes it's going too far, what happened to this guy and everything, that these events suddenly unfolded now. he's going to go further whether or not he wanted to. And that is the opening. Dunzo.
Good.
Which takes us to the
So far, so
new
good.
intro.
Yeah, the opening.
So, there was discussion and speculation from everybody as to whether or not they would stick with Enemy from Imagine Dragons. I don't know if this is a hot take, but the hope was they wouldn't.
Yeah.
But they did. It is back.
Yeah,
So,
it's not even like a remixed version or anything, it's just the same, I'm
They
pretty
should
sure.
have remixed
Yeah, I was
it.
hoping they
It would have made it a little more
figured we'd
bearable.
probably be stuck with it. It's it just seems to be that's how
And
a lot of these shows work. Is the
Imagine
like,
Dragons really
contractually.
is the
But because it's one of the things I saw
Walmart
a lot of people sharing is
fucking
like,
music.
man, couldn't do any other
Considering,
song, even a different
played
Imagine
in most
Dragons
Walmart.
song. But okay, it has been
everywhere.
kept,
You hear it
old business.
over and over and over again.
But we got new visuals.
Whenever a
How about
song
that?
gets
We do.
popular from them, it
Yeah.
gets really popular. Absurdly so.
So, they have a lot of the main characters portrayed in little references to Greek tragedies, which is interesting. You have stuff like Victor doing a bit of a Phantom of the Opera type thing. Jinx got Les Mis. Got Mel and Ambessa doing a bit of Julius Caesar. And I think it'll be Macbeth for Caitlyn. She puts her hands on her head and it makes a silhouette of like an evil crown. I wonder what that reference is. Who knows? And yeah, and then just expressions in general of just stuff these fellas will be going through. I'm sure there'll be more to say about the visuals when
Finish
more
this
of the
off
story
before
is
we lean
understood,
back onto the strider.
as was with season 1. But yeah, I mean, what is there to say? What thoughts does everyone have?
So far, not
Yeah, it kind of gives this. No, go ahead.
But I prefer the statues.
I just
I also kind of find it almost odd to like have one scene where it's statues and then the second one where it's like them. You know?
Yeah,
Like it almost
everyone's hanging
feels
out
like
lounge
I think my assumption was there'd be different visuals, but that it would maintain like with the statues and the carvings and everything.
yeah, they
But,
just get different
oh,
statues doing different things.
It's just like no. Obviously the music is the same, but it's like very different.
Yeah, there's something oddly like 3D anime about it, where they just kind of like recycle assets from like the 3D anime and just throw them together into
police
a
scumbag.
intro and just call it a day. There's some. I know that's not exactly what they did. It just has that feel.
It doesn't feel so one of the things about the first season's credits is that as you watched more of the show, the credits would make more and more sense and they'd be more thematically relevant, and they really did a good job in kind of creating the story beats and the credits and the imagery to go along with it and what that symbolized and what it meant. So I expect to see this evolve and change over time based off what is happening in the story and kind of what they want us to, almost like a teaser for what they want us to think that these characters are going towards and things of that nature. So that's why I don't want to speak too strongly about it so far. But just in terms of subjectively the stylization of it is, I just don't like it nearly as much.
I really should put slugs in.
I appreciated the first season's punchiness, and it was so much better at like snappy, on the beat, and it really created this cohesive experience that felt very good, but here, it's much more dull. I would say.
You know what? I'm gonna agree. I think it's a lot more dull. It's people standing in empty rooms. Maybe you get a prop, a little bit of light. It's not catching me. It's not grabbing me. I think as far as the opportunity cost on the potential of the opening credits is not doing it for me.
I'd have been curious to see how it could have been to do statues of all of these visuals, right? So that it's actually something for us to figure out. We're like, wait, who even is that? And why are they dressed that way? And why are they doing that? It's like an extra layer because I really love the statues. They're cool as fuck. And there's My favorite shot is there's a couple to choose from in the original intro is the Vanda sort of protecting
Nope.
Fire and Powder with silk.
I'm not cool with that.
It's just cool. And you might be like, well, it's not hard to figure that one out. I'd be like, no, but when you watch more and more and more of the show, it's just that's such an interesting shot to think about.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
With how those characters, you know. So there's that. But the visuals in this one, yeah, as Rag said, you know, they can evolve in terms of what I might find interesting about them. It's probably worth noting that it's a possible connection, but that there's a sense with Arcane that the champions from League of Legends are going to be pretty protected, that they wouldn't kill any of them, in a cynical sense, so that, you know, more people can get more invested in them and be encouraged to play them in the video game, but also just in a sense that they are a big part of the IP. You wouldn't want to harm them, will harm the made-up characters. But maybe there's an idea here with the choice of these plays with, I think the majority, if not all of them, the protagonist dies. So that could be the connection they're going for, and that they're trying to foreshadow that we're getting a lot more death than we may have expected. Just a reminder, not to imply a single thing, we are not talking about 4, 5, or 6 at all, alright? That's not being considered. We're analyzing this as though 4, 5, and 6 aren't out yet, alright? We couldn't do it,
even
but
seen
we
them
are.
yet.
Yeah, Das hasn't even seen it. There you go.
The idea that these are supposed to be very directly referencing Greek tragedies in the real world, do you feel like that's really strange for them to so accurately mimic something in our world that doesn't exist in their world, to the point where it's a specific, like these are specific plays and...
This is obviously, like, even their clothing, right, is very much not the world of Arcane. It's all very odd. I think they were intentionally going for that. It's just that how much it works for a viewer is complicated. I think that's why the statues were like, give me them statues.
Yeah, I think in between the episodes, some people have pointed out that there are some glitches. Every episode has a slight difference between intros. There's some little additions in every episode, which I think is kind of true, but I'm kind of disappointed by that. I would rather it be a single cohesive intro that
This thing
gets
sucks
more
so
context
bad.
added to
I'm
it.
so glad I got
You
some
know, the more you watch, the more you
I
realize
don't
it's
think
supposed
it
to.
would be
It changes a little
physically
bit with every
possible.
episode. I would rather have one.
I'm okay with changing intros and stuff when there's like pretty subtle. There's like maybe some changes that reflect the episode before it, something like that. Could work. I think it works.
The first season's intro did change over time, didn't it?
I don't recall.
Do you remember, Mahler?
I thought the intro was consistent, but the meaning changed because you'd seen more of the story. I don't remember there being any like noticeable changes in the season 1 intro. I think it was the same the whole time.
Okay. Because I do remember, as I watched more of it, like you understood more of it, what if it was more of what it was referencing, and things of that nature. I just couldn't remember if they actually did add any changes over time, or if it was just you understood more as the story progressed.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I skipped the intros a lot.
Andor's had a different sound to it, right? It's combined more.
Yeah, that's right.
That was neat.
They combined all of it together, and it's like this new sound, which is really cool. But yeah, Andor's, the visuals are saying which is fun.
But yes, that is our intro for the season. I think we spent more time talking about it when it was season 1. It's just that there's not much else for me to say about it. Anyone else want to say anything? Happy to come back to it.
Very well might.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, a lot of symbolism.
That takes us to, and it's going to prompt discussion.
I'm glad this thing has
immediately.
basically zero recoil.
Yay!
I don't mean to be dismissive describing
But
it that
you
way.
should.
There's a controversial conversation happening about that very concept.
I suppose what's interesting is I feel like the conversation gets prompted later, right? Like first, because first time around you're like, oh yeah, all
well,
right.
sure, but we are in the future of that having
Or,
happened, and
Yes,
so
we're in the future. Well, I mean, is it worth mentioning? I know we're trying to go
I
chronological.
think
but,
all of the people listening to this are
Oh
going
my
to at least
goodness,
mention
I'm actually
that
getting
is a
cooked
conversation
by
that
this.
we Can get to it now. All
Damn,
day,
this
right?
game is slowly melting my actual
Makes
brain
much of a
cells.
difference in terms of the.
And I need to go play Terminus still as well.
Up to
Yeah,
you.
like I almost feel like I'd rather talk about it later.
Yeah,
Because I
later.
need
We'll get into it
vermin
later.
kills.
So, we have what I would describe as a pretty gorgeous musical sequence for Cassandra Kiriman's funeral, as well as probably, I don't know if it's done everybody at the same time, but it's mainly focused on her. You know,
Right.
the council.
Her funeral, yeah. As far as I know. But yeah, this one I like. This one seems appropriately placed with fitting music. I like the visuals a lot. Mostly black and white with some color here and there to highlight some things. I think it sets a somber tone well. This one I like.
Yeah,
So-
I like it too. And the black and white, I think that's all hand drawn, I'm pretty sure. Which
Yes.
I bet no doubt helps in cost cutting for getting all those characters, you know?
It looked to me like charcoal. I'm curious if that's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think it
Absolutely.
is.
And so that's a really cool, like it's something you can rely on for Arcane to use art styles that are pretty familiar to everybody, but simultaneously you just don't typically see in shows like this. Oh, just to have the whole world in essentially kind of dark and muted, and even like the decision to have it, for lack of a better term, low frame rate, right? Like it's all very staticky. Then the characters, you have Caitlin Vi and her mum, and flowers like are all in color. Very striking, very deliberate, and kind of beautiful.
What's kind of interesting too is like, I don't know if this really means anything, but I noticed that like her dad shows up in the background and he's not as much. He's just as much black and white as the rest. And I don't know if that like reflects his state of mind and how he's more broken than the rest of these characters. But he's over there briefly in black and white as well.
I gave a
So
listen
they
to the full
focus on-
song. I really like the song. Shade is actually a more intense part of the song in the full version that didn't make it into the show that I would have liked to have heard, but it's still very much excellently sung and that's done very perfectly as well. Yeah, and there's a little moment where the casket's closing and Caitlin moves to try and get a bit more time to be able to look at her mum, which I think is pretty sad and effective. There's also just an effort from her in the scene as she's looking around a little bit, like to maintain herself.
Yeah. Trying really hard to maintain composure and not show any weakness, if you will.
Yeah. You know, I guess, you know, it's just like this is the kind of thing you would expect for the result of this having happened. There is a bit of a jump happening in terms of Caitlin and Vi got back from the end of season 1, and obviously there would have been a few conversations that would have been interesting to have seen that we're past already now. For example, telling the leadership exactly what happened and
Right.
be done about that. We do get, I guess you could say, the equivalent of that somewhat in a bit, but I just,
Well, it's I suppose it's that we'll have to learn over the course of the episode what they actually know and how
Yeah.
much of that knowledge has sort of gotten out. Like, what did they explain like exactly what happened in like lots of detail? Which the assumption would be like yes, that they know not just that Jinx blew up the council, but also that she killed Silco.
Killed Silco,
And
yeah.
then, yeah. And then if they know that, and like, it's, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, how much does everybody know? What was there? Was anything left out?
Yeah, which would be interesting to know, and then to see what, like, why they made the decision they made as to what to tell and not tell. But as far as I would guess, they would tell everything as it happened accurately. Because I don't know why they would. And if they didn't, then that is an important thing that we need to be made aware of.
but, I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to say. I think it's a really cool aspect of Arcane to incorporate music and sort of effects this way and art styles, and very happy that we still got it. Like I said, there's another conversation to be had. We'll do it a little later.
Yeah.
I also like Caitlin's where like
It's already falling off, and it's only round 20.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a sense, like, it's so consistently, reliably quality in terms of art and animation.
Okay, so this is done.
Like,
I'm not gonna be
yeah,
able to
do
get
we
any
need
more
to
out of
mention it
this.
again? It's like, oh, yeah, probably. It's probably worth more to mention.
Especially because we have like a lot of different art styles that still
Yeah.
come up and are being used. So.
But yeah, we'll just make sure everyone understands, and I guess this does include 456. The animation is phenomenal throughout. There's not really a time where I was like, ooh.
Ew, this looks stinky.
Yeah, no, not once.
Oh,
If
man.
we fail to mention it in any way, shape, or form going forward, just know that we feel that way about the whole thing. It's
Very
excellently
lovely.
done. top
Very,
tier.
very lovely.
Which takes us to a council meeting. Got to decide what's going to happen as a result of all this, which is we have Mel is here, Clockwork Lady, who's had some work done, I guess, to account for the portion that was blown off, and
She's not
Sala.
very clockworky anymore.
No, I'll miss her necklace. And yeah, Salo is here, being pushed by Ambessa, which I feel as a visual on its own is enough to tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably get more to that. Go on. Oh, anyway, you have Mel reassuring Caitlin about her mother's death, which I appreciate too. Because she was, Mel seems like a pretty caring character.
Hey, hold up, hold up.
Yeah, I'm here
You're
to
really
go
roboting for me.
Oh my God!
Singapore, let's go.
We have non-tilt-over servers now.
Oh, I
Play that well.
Perfect.
joined the Techno Union temporarily.
There. Everything back to normal. Sounds good to me. Sound good to me.
I was just saying that I do think it's quite in character for Mel to care for any given person who at that point. So expressing to Caitlin that what her mother was and how important she was and how much of a friend she was. I try not to. I don't want to overblow people being normal, but
Unfortunately, we need to mention it these days.
yeah.
A lot of times in shows, people don't act like human beings. So it's nice to see people acting like human beings, you know?
So this conversation starts up with Salo saying, "To think we needed extended sovereignty to the creatures who did this," which, like, oh, I guess he probably doesn't know yet that it was one person, because he very likely would have been in some kind of hospital care. I don't know if this is a
How did that get around
but
that?
Caitlin obviously and Vi would know exactly who did it and the nature of it. So yeah, he says there's going to be no fairy tales of peace until we scour our basement of its demons. You just get Mel saying thanks for assisting him, mother. But yeah, because Ambessa's she's got some interests. She's going to be made very soon. And yeah, whether or not Salo is being puppeteered somewhat right now, his perspective is pretty normal.
Oh, the hit registration. It's so bad.
This was a disaster.
Why is it
and was
so
horrifying,
bad?
and a whole bunch of people
Well,
were dead.
if I remember
No.
correctly, he was also pretty outspoken about the Undercity being disgusting and everything. So for this to happen, he's just like, well, proving my point, are you?
Yeah, and so he says, as we're at war, it's prudent to solicit the advice of an experienced veteran, which I think is good enough to justify why Ambessa's here, I suppose. You could argue, yeah, she's real useful and intelligent, blah, blah, blah. Be like, yeah, but we know why she's there.
I'm
So we have a
okay.
little bit of a
I'm
back and forth
so
about what should be done.
tired
We flood
and
the
off
Undercity
right
with
now.
Hextech
I am going to
forces.
just
That could be fun.
get off right now
We'll
and
just, hell yeah,
go
you know,
take a nap
forces
because
with all
I
Hextech
literally
weaponry,
cannot
just like
do
mentioned in
this
season
right
1,
now.
would probably annihilate
It
the
is.
Undercity.
I'm so cooked.
And,
It's
yep.
ridiculous.
But that gets countered with this was one
did I get all these tokens
deranged
from?
individual. We would unify the underground if you broadly attack them. Got to pin the entire thing on Jinx.
Okay. Anyway,
And Clockwork Lady says
I'm going
she's
to
not
head out
comfortable with that being left
because
to chance, as in, like, give
I
us Jinx.
just cannot keep playing. I'm so tired, and it's been a long day. So peace out, my doodle. Goodbye.